In 2015, a passenger train derailed after the track beneath it literally bent in the summer heat. Steel doesn't look flexible, but when railway tracks stretch for kilometers under the sun, they can twist with enough force to send an entire train off the rails. Ironically, preventing this problem is also why modern trains lost one of their most iconic sounds. For more than a century, a train had a rhythm of its own. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. It followed overnight journeys, slipped into folk songs, novels, and old films, and shaped how people imagined railway travel. Now step onto most modern trains. The steel wheels are still there, so are the rails. The trains are often heavier and faster than their predecessors. Yet the familiar beat has faded into a low, continuous hum. So what disappeared? Did engineers simply invent quieter wheels? Or did something more important change beneath the train? Let's get into it right here on Small Things. Where the rhythm really came from. The clickety-clack did not mainly come from the locomotive. It was not simply the natural sound of steel rolling across steel, either. Its source was hidden in the joints between separate pieces of rail. Early railway tracks were assembled from thousands of short steel sections. A narrow gap sat between one rail and the next. When a wheel reached the end of a section, it dipped slightly, then struck the beginning of the following rail. One axle produced a brief impact. A full train turned that impact into a rapid sequence. Because the joints were regularly spaced, the sound developed a pattern. Wheel after wheel, carriage after carriage, the same beat returned. Passengers heard it so often that it seemed to belong to the train itself. In reality, they were hearing metal wheels cross an endless row of tiny thresholds. The rhythm changed with speed. At a slow pace, the clicks arrived far apart. As the train accelerated, the gaps passed beneath the wheels more quickly, and the beat tightened. The track was almost announcing how fast the train was moving, but those gaps were not added for sound. They were there because the steel needed them. Why the gaps had to exist? Early railways could not be built from seamless ribbons of steel stretching for kilometers. Manufacturing, transport, and installation all favored shorter pieces. In the United States, a common rail length was about 39 feet, or just under 12 meters. That size was practical partly because the rails had to fit the cars carrying them to the construction site. Short rails were easier to make and move. Once exposed to the weather, however, the steel introduced a new problem. Steel expands when it gets hot and contracts when it gets cold. The change in a single rail may be tiny. Across hundreds or thousands of sections laid end to end, those small changes add up. Imagine every rail pressed tightly against the next with nowhere to move. Under the summer sun, compression would build through the track. The rails could shift sideways, distort, or lose their alignment. So engineers deliberately left a small space at each joint. In hot weather, the rail could lengthen into the gap. When temperatures fell, it could shorten again. This was not careless construction. It suited the materials and tools available at the time. The same feature that helped the track survive changing weather also created the most famous sound in railway history. And every time a wheel crossed one of those gaps, the railway paid a price. Every clack had a cost to passengers. The rhythm could feel comforting. It suggested movement, distance, and the promise of somewhere new. On a night train, it might even become a mechanical lullaby. Maintenance crews heard something else. Each clack was a blow. A heavy steel wheel struck the end of the next rail like a small hammer. One impact did little. Repeated millions of times, it gradually flattened rail ends, wore the wheels, and sent vibration through the carriages. Passengers felt the result as noise and a rougher ride. The railway felt it through maintenance bills. The joints were vulnerable points. Bolts loosened, connecting plates wore down. Track alignment had to be inspected and corrected. A line built from thousands of short rails also contained thousands of places where damage could begin. The sound was more than a charming part of the journey. It was evidence of energy being lost through impact, vibration, and deformation. Every repeated strike added wear and shortened the life of important components. For travelers, clickety-clack became part of the romance of rail. For railway companies, it meant constant work. As locomotives became faster, those tiny gaps began arriving beneath the wheels in quicker succession. What had once been merely noisy was turning into a limit. The speed problem. At low speed, a wheel crossing a joint may cause little more than a short jolt. At higher speed, the same irregularity matters much more. The wheels meet the gaps more frequently, impacts arrive faster, vibration builds, and small errors in the shape or alignment of the track become harder to tolerate. A joint that feels acceptable beneath a slow train can disturb stability, increase wear, and make a fast journey noticeably rougher. The faster the train moves, the more precise the running surface needs to be. Railways could reinforce joints, inspect them more often, and replace damaged parts. That helped, but it did not change the basic problem. A train was still running over a steel path interrupted every few meters. Higher speeds demanded something smoother and more continuous. That created a difficult engineering question. If the gaps disappeared, what would happen when the steel expanded in summer? The answer was not a stronger joint. It was a railway with almost no regular joints at all. A railway without regular joints. The solution was continuous welded rail, usually shortened to CWR. From around the middle of the 20th century, railways increasingly welded shorter rails into long, continuous lengths, sometimes stretching for miles. What had once resembled a chain of separate steel pieces became an almost unbroken ribbon along the route. The regularly spaced gaps were gone, so axles no longer dipped and struck a fresh rail end every few meters. Wheel loads passed into the track more smoothly. That reduced concentrated wear on wheels and rail ends. It also removed countless bolts, plates, and joints that once required inspection. The steadier running surface also made higher speeds safer and more practical. This is why the old rhythm faded. The wheels had not become silent. The repeated edges beneath them had disappeared. Yet one problem remained exactly where it had always been. A continuous steel rail still responded to heat in summer and cold in winter. Without gaps, where could that movement go? Holding miles of steel in place. Continuous welded rail does not ignore thermal expansion. It handles it in a different way. Before a long rail is permanently fastened, engineers bring it to a carefully chosen condition suited to the local climate. This is linked to the rail neutral temperature, the temperature at which the rail carries little thermal force from being stretched or compressed. Crews may heat the rail or use hydraulic equipment to pull it to the required length before securing it. Then the whole track structure takes over. High-strength clips fasten the rail to sleepers, often made from heavy concrete. Ballast packed around them resists sideways movement, while the weight and shape of the track help keep everything aligned. The old track gave each short rail room to move. The modern track holds the continuous rail in place and lets the force build inside the steel instead. In hot weather, the rail wants to lengthen, creating compression. In cold weather, it wants to shorten, creating tension. The support system restrains that movement and spreads the forces along the track. This system has limits. Extreme heat or a weakened track structure can still allow welded rail to buckle. CWR manages thermal expansion. It does not make the laws of physics disappear. That distinction matters. Modern railways did not solve the problem by pretending steel no longer moved. They solved it by controlling how that movement was expressed. Why some trains still make a clack. A modern train can still produce an occasional clack. And that does not contradict the story. Switches, crossings, bridge structures, transition points, and older sections of jointed rail can all interrupt the running surface. When a wheel passes over one of those features, a single impact may still be heard. The difference is the pattern. One isolated clack usually marks a particular point in the track. The old clickety-clack continued mile after mile because joints appeared at regular intervals and every axle repeated the same beat. Modern railways did not remove every possible joint. They removed the thousands of evenly spaced joints that once turned an entire journey into a rhythm, so the sound has not vanished everywhere. What disappeared was its regularity. What the quiet ride really means. A smoother journey may seem like a small improvement, but it reveals a larger change. The old track allowed each short rail to expand and contract at its own gap. That design suited the technology of its time, but it also created repeated impacts, constant wear, and a ceiling on speed. Continuous welded rail chose a different trade-off. Instead of allowing thousands of small movements, it uses the entire track structure to manage tension and compression along long sections of steel. The result is quieter, but silence was never the only goal. The same change reduced maintenance, improved stability, and helped make modern high-speed rail possible. What passengers notice as the absence of a familiar sound is really the result of a complete redesign beneath their feet. Modern trains did not lose their rhythm because engineers simply made better wheels or added more insulation. The deeper change happened in the track. Thousands of short rails separated by expansion gaps gave way to long welded sections held in place by clips, sleepers, ballast, and carefully managed stress. The clickety-clack was not removed with a soundproofing trick. It disappeared because the repeated joints that created it were no longer needed across most of the route. Can you remember riding a train that still made the old rhythm? Share your experience below and subscribe to SST for more surprising stories hidden inside ordinary things. Sometimes progress arrives with a new sound. Sometimes we notice it only when an old one disappears.